Before you click away from this video, I need you to understand something. There is a reason your chest felt tight. There is a reason a specific memory resurfaced. That is not coincidence. That is awareness trying to wake you up. Most people will watch a video like this and think it is about them, the people who ignored them, the ones who left, the ones who did not show up. But if you stay with me until the end, you are going to realize this is not just about who does not care about you. It is about why you kept tolerating it. And that realization is uncomfortable because once you see the patterns clearly, you cannot unsee them. Once you recognize indifference for what it is, you cannot keep calling it confusion. Once you understand your own role in allowing certain behaviors, excuses will stop feeling convincing. By the end of this message, you are going to look at your relationships differently. You are going to evaluate conversations differently. You are going to question who truly earns access to you. This is not surface level motivation. This is perspective that will challenge your attachments. It will confront your denial. It will demand honesty. And if you are brave enough to sit through that discomfort, you will walk away stronger, clearer, and far less willing to settle. So do not watch this halfway. Do not listen casually, because what you are about to hear might finally give you the clarity you have been avoiding, and clarity changes everything. Let's go deeper into something most people misunderstand. We've been taught to fear rejection. We've been taught to fear conflict. We've been taught to fear someone saying, "I don't want you." But what you should really fear is indifference. Rejection is clear. It hurts, but it's honest. Conflict is uncomfortable, but at least it acknowledges that something matters. Indifference is different. Indifference is quiet, it's subtle, it doesn't shout, it shrugs. And psychologically, indifference does something dangerous to the human mind. It creates ambiguity. When someone rejects you, your brain can process it. There is a defined event, a closed door. But when someone is indifferent, your brain keeps searching for meaning. You start asking, did I do something wrong? Are they just busy? Maybe I'm overthinking. You begin to fill in the blanks. And most of the time, you fill them with self-blame. This is where people lose themselves. Because indifference doesn't attack your confidence directly. It erodes it slowly. One unanswered message, one dismissed emotion, one canceled plan. None of it seems dramatic in isolation. But over time, the pattern forms. You start trying harder. You speak softer. You become more agreeable. You lower your expectations. You convince yourself that you are low maintenance, when in reality, you're afraid of being too much. And here's the philosophical truth. When someone consistently responds to your presence with emotional neutrality, they are communicating your position in their value system. Humans invest attention where they feel value. Attention is a currency. Effort is a choice. Emotional engagement is intentional. If someone repeatedly chooses not to invest those things in you, that is not confusion. That is prioritization. But we resist that conclusion because it hurts, so instead of accepting indifference as information, we treat it as a puzzle to solve. We believe if we just become more impressive, more patient, more understanding, they will eventually care. That belief is dangerous, because when you try to earn care from someone who has already decided not to give it, you train yourself to tolerate emotional starvation, and the body keeps score. Your anxiety increases, your self-doubt grows. You overanalyze conversations. You replay interactions in your head. You measure your worth by how quickly they respond. That is not love. That is psychological dependence created by inconsistency. Indifference creates a cycle of intermittent reinforcement. Sometimes they give you attention. Sometimes they disappear. And that unpredictability keeps you hooked. It makes you chase the next small moment of validation. But let's be intellectually honest here. Someone who values you does not leave you guessing about your importance. They may be busy, they may be imperfect, but their baseline energy toward you is consistent. There is effort, there is curiosity, there is responsiveness. Indifference, on the other hand, feels like you are constantly reaching across a gap that never closes. And here's the hard question you have to ask yourself. Why are you so willing to fight for a place in someone's life that they are not fighting to keep you in dot? Sit with that. Sometimes the real issue is not that they don't care. It's that you are afraid of what it means if you accept that they don't, because accepting indifference forces a decision. It forces boundaries. It forces distance. It forces you to confront loneliness before you find something healthier. And many people would rather live in quiet disappointment than face temporary loneliness. But here is the deeper principle. Self-respect begins where denial ends. The moment you stop rationalizing someone's indifference is the moment you reclaim power. You stop negotiating for basic consideration. You stop performing for attention. You stop auditioning for a role in someone's life. You begin observing instead of chasing. And when you observe calmly, without emotion clouding your judgment, patterns become undeniable. World. They do not remember what matters to you. They do not adjust when you communicate your needs. They do not protect the connection. That is not a misunderstanding. That is a lack of investment. And the mature response to lack of investment is not anger. It is clarity. Clarity allows you to detach without drama, to step back without announcements, to reduce effort where effort is not reciprocated. Because here is the truth that will set you free. You cannot convince someone to care about you, but you can decide how much access they have to you. And that decision changes everything. So instead of asking, how do I make them value me? Ask a better question. Why am I offering loyalty to someone who offers me indifference? Think about that tonight, because the moment you stop chasing indifferent people is the moment you start attracting intentional ones. And that shift begins with one courageous act, believing behavior over hope. Let's talk about something that will completely change how you evaluate people. Stop listening to what they say. Start watching what they repeat, because patterns do not lie. Anyone can say, I care about you. Anyone can promise, I'll do better. Anyone can apologize with perfect words. Language is easy. Words are socially accessible tools. Most people know exactly what to say to calm you down, to keep you around, to prevent consequences, but behavior requires effort. Behavior requires intention. Behavior reveals priorities, and priorities are the truth. Psychologically, we are wired to respond to words because words create emotional relief. When someone hurts you and then says, I didn't mean it, your nervous system wants to relax. It wants to believe the threat is gone, so you accept the explanation. But here's the problem. If the behavior repeats, the apology loses integrity. One mistake is human. Two mistakes can be growth in progress. But a consistent pattern is a decision. You have to understand this clearly. Repeated behavior is not accidental. It is chosen. If someone consistently cancels on you, they are choosing disorganization or disinterest over reliability. If someone consistently dismisses your feelings, they are choosing comfort over empathy. If someone repeatedly crosses boundaries, they are choosing their impulses over your respect.